Afternoon. Today is Thursday, June 19th, 2025. We are Roll Call Black White Blue for Better Relations. I'm here with a few of my friends. I got D, I got Will, I got Jerry, I got AC, I got Mark, I got JT, Derek, Ty, and Cheech. And I'm going to turn it into their hands because I am actually doing something this time, and you are in good hands today with this crew. So, D, you can go ahead and get us started.
Negative K, nothing further. Just take care of me in the corner. That's a direct order. Do it now.
Go ahead, Will.
Afternoon, everyone. Welcome and thank you once again for joining us for Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. I got a real great group of people, my friends, my brothers and sisters in law enforcement and criminal justice joining me on today. And if you all will have your patience with me, I'm kind of trying to stand in and hold up the mantle for our we'll call him leader, but Reverend Don is on a different mission today. So he's kind of handed the reins over to me, and my team is cool with me doing this. So we're going to do our discussion. We got some real interesting topics for you all to look into. And of course, you can comment in the Facebook chat because we're live and we're certainly monitoring that so that we can address whatever your questions or concerns might be. Again, you all, I got some of the best crew members with me on this roll call crew. They've already been introduced. So, D, do your thing and bring us in on our normal intro.
All right, so we're going to start out. Let's all start out with a moment of silence as we do every week.
I know we talk about hearing that music without fail week in and week out, but it's when you hear that taps, it's a whole different wave that washes over you. A whole different wave. D, I see you got your hand up already, so I wanted to make sure that we address that, or was that inadvertent?
Oh, no, that was just for the moment of silence. I'll lower it.
Okay, got you. Um, we are very blessed as a group that we've had some things to take place among our members and let you all know that we're praying for each and one of you and our listeners that are out there. we are a family here at Roll Call, and what happens to one happens to all. So without any details and whatnot, just ask you to keep us in mind and keep us in prayer. And we hope that something is going to be said or done that is going to be a benefit to you, it's going to be a blessing to your life. So we'll let God lead us where we will go and have a productive and constructive discussion. Let's see. So, Cheech, you got something for us with the disclaimer? Or you doing the
I do, and I just want to say happy Juneteenth to everybody.
yes.
It's a trifecta for me, as my firstborn is turning 31 today, and it is my 32nd year anniversary. Our son was born on Father's Day and on our 1-year wedding anniversary. And now it's Juneteenth, so a trifecta again. So again, thank you everybody for joining us. Before we get started, we're going to want to go over a couple of things. First, we want to let you know that comments made by members of Roll Call are the opinions of each individual. They are not intended to be legal advice or suggestions for our listeners. You have to remember that the laws change from village to village, city to city, state to state. So please consult with the local attorney or your local police department for any legal advice. Also, as you know, we always say we are pro-police, but we believe in equitable policing. So we use videos to discuss and to spark our conversations. If an officer does right, we will say that officer did whatever he did right. And if he did it wrong, we're going to call it out. All right. So some of these videos might be graphic in nature. Somebody on the panel will let you know if any of them might be graphic or offensive. Please don't take offense to it. These videos come from social media. They are not the property of Roll Call. We get them from YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all that good stuff. So you guys have access to these videos. Also, we want to let you know that everybody here speaks from the heart. We don't hold back. We speak our truth. Sometimes you will see that even we do not agree among ourselves. We don't take it personal. We don't want you to take it personal. All right. So please don't take any offense to anything that is said. I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or comments, please put them on the chat. A member of Roll Call will try to address them as we are moving along. All right. Thank you.
There we have it. Anybody going to give us the statement of purpose? Well, did we kind of roll it? I guess Cheech kind of rolled that in a little bit, didn't he?
A little bit.
All right, then. So I think we're sufficient with that. So that means unless someone else has something they want to open up with, Jim, welcome for coming on. Jim popped in, Mark's popped in, and everybody else. Kyle, good to see you. So I guess we're ready to roll with the first video. What you think, D?
Yep, let's go.
One thing, I happen to have been off for a second. Phone was overheated because it's hot. Did we mention Juneteenth? Because I wasn't on. I don't know if we missed it. That's a question, guys.
If we what you said?
Did we mention that we are celebrating or acknowledging Juneteenth today?
Yeah, I mentioned it.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Like I said, I was gone.
Cool. With checks and balances with each other.
Absolutely. Okay, we're gonna go with our first video.
Do it.
Let me start out by saying is I want to open it up to all that are watching, all that are gonna watch. Feel free to let us know if there's something you want us to speak about. This was a particularly busy week for stuff. The coffers are full. So we try to pick the best of the best, but I don't want you to think we're forgetting anything. We just can't talk about everything. We only have an hour and a half. So, but if there's something particular you want us to speak on or speak about, just hit us in a DM, text us, email, whatever you can. We want to make sure we cover everything you want to cover. Our first video is going to take us to Seattle. the police chief there was speaking on what was going on in LA. I'm going to let the video roll, and we'll have some commentary after.
At least 378 people have been arrested over the last 4 days. California Governor Gavin Newsom is urging protesters to stay peaceful. He also filed an emergency federal court order to try and block National Guard troops and Marines from engaging in immigration raids in LA.
Trump is pulling a military dragnet all across Los Angeles, well beyond his stated intent to just go after violent and serious criminals. His agents are arresting dishwashers, gardeners, day laborers, and seamstresses.
Just outside of LA, more Marines are ready to enter the city if needed as the protests continue. And Texas deployed its National Guard to San Antonio in anticipation of protests planned for today and Saturday. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said they will arrest anyone who hurts someone or damages property.
And protests also happening in our state. Protesters in Seattle clashed with police last night as they tried to stop people from being taken to the Northwest ICE Processing Center. It happened near the federal building in downtown. Police used what looks like pepper spray and non-lethal rounds to disperse the crowd. Protesters tried to prevent ICE from detaining people awaiting immigration hearings by piling Lime bikes and scooters at the entrances to prevent people from exiting the building. Those bikes have been removed, and it appears to be much quieter in the area this morning. And while the protests here weren't as destructive as those in Los Angeles, Seattle Police Chief Sean Barnes was asked how he would handle the situation if President Trump deployed the military to our city, and Barnes said he would probably go to jail.
I will do everything in my power, I want to be clear, to protect anyone in Seattle from anyone who comes to this city with the intention to hurt them or inhibit their First Amendment rights. And what that means is, at some point, I will probably go to jail and be in prison.
Barnes said he expects to be jailed because a federal judge was recently arrested in Wisconsin, and President Trump is threatening to jail Governor Newsom in California. His comments were made during a confirmation hearing yesterday in front of the Public Safety Committee. A full council vote to make Barnes the new chief of police in Seattle is expected on July 1st.
Jim, give it to us.
Hats off to that chief.
Yeah.
If you think if all the departments and all the chiefs thought like that gentleman right there, this all would turn around real quick. I mean, I got to say, you know, everybody I'm sure knows the Posse Comitatus Act was in 1870, I think it was late 1870s, where you cannot use the military to police our citizens. That's a law. It's an act. The only exception is an act of Congress. An act of Congress could say, yes, you could call in the military, but no president has the authority or right to use the military to police any area. So what I find confusing is how nobody seems to be bringing up that very fact. I know Governor Newsom is making a lot of waves with that and challenging him in court, but where's Congress? This is a violation of a congressional act of 1878. You can't bring the Marines in to police a city. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on it.
What's happening, D?
I wanted to say quickly, I've often said something that struck a nerve when I heard this police chief say he was going to be fired. I used to do a little bodyguarding work, and that used to be the first conversation I'd have with a client. There's going to be a day you're going to have to fire me. A lot of people say, well, why would you say on the first day you might get fired? Because you got to let them know I'm going to do my job to the best of my ability. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to try to keep my job. A lot of people are going to ask you to do things or want you to do things that you as a sworn law enforcement officer are not able to do. Your values and your morals as a law enforcement officer aren't going to let you do that. So even when I walked out of the door with the state police, I said, it's going to be a day. I'm not going to work here no more. I think that's what this chief was trying to say. His job is to be police chief, not to keep his job. Stay with me. We get so caught up in, I gotta work, I gotta keep my job, whatever I have to do to keep my job, and it skews those things you swore to when you held your hands up to. When you held your hand up, the first thing you say was, and there's gonna come a day when I'm gonna get fired. That should be the first thing out of your mouth, because we all gotta we all should be, and this is to any law enforcement officer listening, doing a job to the point where I have to do the job because it's the right thing to do. I'm not necessarily going to have to keep working and keep doing my job. Me, I was always preparing that they were going to walk me out the door because that's the way I did my job, and they knew it. I thwarted the system. I wasn't liked by many people. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. But I read the rules and regulations. I read the books. I knew the laws, and I knew I was going to have to do my job. And in knowing the regulations, the rules, and the laws, I knew they were going to fire me. They were going to probably have to fire me one day because I wasn't going to be able to do some things they were going to ask me. And I applaud this chief. I wish when we talk about law enforcement across the board was like this, because then we wouldn't have the foolishness we have. We have too many people that want to keep their job. And Jim said something, I'm gonna take it a step further and then I'm gonna back out. I'm only gonna say one more quick thing. There's a lot of people now that have jobs that really, at this point, with what's going on today, are realizing they're above their depth. They took a job, it was a nice salary, I was in the public view, when the cameras come on, I could smile. But now, right now, today, you have to be able to do your job, and they cannot. And therein lies the problem, because we're at war for real. And now it's not a reality show. It's not a TV soundbite. Now the decisions you make have a ripple effect all across the world. That's all I wanted to say.
AT, I'm coming to you, and
Take
D,
your time.
but I want to get this in real quick. It's a comment on our Facebook Live. Mr. Bowden, one of our regular watchers, and we up front, thank you so much for your continued viewership. Mr. Bowden tells us we are 100% wrong. The military was used in the 60s to put down riots. My father's unit, 6th Armored Cavalry Regiment, rode tanks into DC and Baltimore in 1968. Now, I'm sure we're going to circle back around to that comment. Jim, I see you got your hand up real quick, so obviously, I know you probably done your research. Go ahead and hit them with it.
That was with congressional approval.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I already knew where you was going, but JT, you're up.
I just want to know how many viewers, anybody want to just say so, think the military should be there? I mean, you get an order from a staff sergeant in the Army, you're going to follow it to the letter. That's what you're there for. But what I don't understand is, how long can Mr. Taco keep giving bad orders, things to do, and nothing's being done? I mean, I know it takes time to impeach him, probably come on his last day in office, but isn't there a suspension or hold down? You can't do this. You can't just keep doing shit that ain't right. How long does it take for an impeachment, Jim? I mean, this is third impeachment, correct?
Fourth, fifth.
He hasn't been impeached yet. There's been talk about it, but if he does,
They
it
got
will be his
impeached, you just
third.
didn't get convicted.
Yeah.
Oh, and that could be my next child being born.
It could be. But D, you mind if I jump to a couple of folks that hadn't had a say yet, quite yet, got their hands up?
I had something really, really quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Based on the last comment, JT, and I don't want to jump anybody, but really quick, I can't believe I forgot this. Yesterday, I had a conversation at the wing place with a Marine, and he was just talking to me about this particular thing. It just rang in my mind, and he was very clear. He was kind of high up in the Marines. I don't want to give away his rank, but he said, no way, 100% should they be on the streets of anywhere on these hallowed grounds. Their job is out there, not in there. He was very clear, and I didn't even prompt him, just because I wanted to comment to that. The Marines themselves don't want to be there.
I know.
It's straight from the horse's mouth. Like you said, he's up there, so it's not like he doesn't know. Derek, what you got for us, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that obviously following orders is a norm and a mandate if you're a service member. Going to war against the people of your country is not. And essentially, that's what Trump has our military doing, going to war against our people. And for no reason, because, you know, like our people weren't tearing up the street in LA or anything like that. You know, peaceful protests.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time he wanted it to happen, because he wanted them to shoot people in the legs before. And he had a mace sprayed at the priest so he could do a photo op with an upside down Bible. But, you know, this is who America is calling its leader, unfortunately.
Listeners and watchers out there, just to give you a perspective, our profession historically has been called paramilitary because they associated a lot of our work similar to military. I'm here to tell you, and I think I get co-signed by everybody on this panel, we are not them anymore. Our roles and our responsibilities with regards to the community, the other Americans that we serve, is very, very different than following specific, very linear military orders. We are looking for individuals who are independent thinkers, who have the capacity to look at the totality of circumstances and bring about solutions to situations, not somebody that can just follow orders. And then when it's all said and done, you got a bad outcome. You say, well, I was just following orders. The accountability expectation for us right now, if your only excuse is I was just following orders, that's not going to fly. It's not. AC, what's up?
Going back to what Jim said, the military being on civilian land or on the United States land, the reason why they're able to get away with that, because there is no oversight in Congress. You know, JT mentioned having impeached. Congress won't do anything to try to correct or do their job, period. And, you know, I'm going to say it's because of the leadership there. And no one's making them do it. So they're not doing their jobs. There's no three equal branches. Matter of fact, I saw something where the Speaker of the House, the press secretary, was saying that the president can't get anything done because, you know, these three branches are stopping him, and it's not fair for them to stop him. Like, first of all, they're not stopping him, and that's what they're supposed to do. The Congress represents the people, and the Supreme Court represents the Constitution. They're supposed to work together, not only one idea or one king. Anyway.
Jim, I'm going to bring this one to you because we got a rebuttal comment from Mr. Bowden. And since obviously you've got some knowledge about this, I'm going to let you put him up on game. It says, Jim, they didn't have congressional approval. The 6th Cavalry was reactivated specifically to interdict protesters in D.C. 82nd Airborne went to Detroit in 1967, all with presidential approval.
Well, I don't want to start a back and forth, but if I recall back then, there was congressional approval for that interaction of the military in D.C. If he would like to expound on that just a little bit and and kind of tell me where he's getting that knowledge that there was no congressional approval from, how he knows that firsthand. See if he writes back for that. Because I mean, being in the military and you get directives from your commanding officers, that's one thing. But not knowing where those orders were directed from, and assuming they were directed from the White House and not approved by Congress, in and of itself, it isn't proof. So I'm not going to argue that he's wrong because I'm not that much of an expert on this stuff, but I do recall that this was going to be the first time in history that the military was brought in without congressional approval, or even the National Guard brought in without governor. The governor's approval is used for National Guard troops, but the president does have an override for that. If he calls it a national emergency, he can override the governor. So for the National Guard in California, Trump was on good ground to go over Newsom's head. Not good moral ground, but good legal ground. But the Marines are a different story. And I have never heard of the Marines, Army or Navy or Air Force being sent in without congressional approval.
Well, to that point, Jim, and you're making a very good point. Our National Guardsmen are kind of, I would say, a hybrid, because when we look to military support for domestic issues, that's usually the first group we go to. And the activation, because they have National Guard units, I think, in every state in the country. Is that pretty much correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And to deploy those units happens one of two ways. In foreign incidents where they're called to shore up existing military forces, the president calls them up or some congressional act calls them up. But from a domestic standpoint, they are typically activated at the request of the state leadership, which would be the governor. Now, like you said, the sitting president was on good legal ground when he gave them orders to descend upon California, but you don't get to usurp the leadership in that state when they're the ones that are boots on the ground. They're the eyes that seeing what's going on, and they're the ones responsible, because I have every reason to believe that Governor Newsom was prepared to accept any backlash or consequences with regards to the way he was handling it without having interdiction.
The governor has a lawsuit in court right now, not against his using the National Guard, because he knows that Trump was on legal ground with that, but for using the Marines. He has got a civil suit right now for Trump usurping his authority using the Marines.
Agreed. Anybody else on this video? Something on their mind? All right. D, you ready to move on to the next?
Yeah, busy week. We had two Minnesota lawmakers shot, one killed. The story took another turn, which this report doesn't cover. So I'm sure we'll cover it, but it was just the breaking news, just so we can get the information out there. Let's take a look.
And good morning to you. I'm Gio Benitez. We are following breaking news right now. Sources telling ABC News that two Minnesota state lawmakers have been shot, and when law enforcement officials say was a targeted incident. Let's get right on the phone now with ABC News chief investigative reporter Josh Margolin. Josh, you've been following this all morning long. What do we know right now?
Gio, good morning. It's a very, very serious situation just north of Minneapolis in the Hennepin County suburbs, highly populated area. We have a former Speaker of the State House and a state senator, both Democrats. Not saying that party has anything to do with it at all at this point, but both are Democrats. Apparently, they were in their separate homes near each other, and allegedly they were shot by the same perpetrator. Perpetrator is now on the run. The injuries are serious, grave. It's a very serious situation. The governor is on site, as is the FBI.
And I know that you're learning that the FBI is now involved. We believe at this point that the shooter was impersonating law enforcement?
Yes, that is believed to be what happened. The shooter was definitely apparently wearing some sort of tactical gear and reported to be looking like impersonating law enforcement. That could ultimately not be the case when they finally get a hold of the shooter. But part of this is they wanted to alert the local population. This is somebody who needs to be considered very, very dangerous.
We're also learning here, Josh, that both of these lawmakers were shot at their homes. Is that right?
Yes, apparently both at their homes. Law enforcement was very, very quick to say these are targeted attacks. That is language that they use when they want the public to know there's not some sort of active shooter randomly shooting at people. outside, but yes, they were targeted at their homes. And as you know, Gio, state lawmakers tend to be highly accessible. They're members of the community, members of the population, mothers at PTA meetings and parents who go to Little League games.
All right, Josh Margolin, our chief investigative reporter, thank you so much. I know you're going to stay on this all morning long here and all day long for sure. Josh, thank you for joining us here.
Each.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to say that violence against anybody is unacceptable. Doesn't matter the differences we have in politics. That is just crazy. And, what comes to mind to me is that whenever we have a school shooter, people write us right away. You'll say, well, it's not a gun problem. It's a mental health issue. All right. So then you're admitting that there's mental health issues out there, but then you have the person who's supposed to unite the country instead dividing the country, knowing that there are people out there with mental health issues that are going to take things to heart, that are going to take things literally and go out there and do stupid shit like this. That is just unacceptable. And to have the highest person in this country that to me is causing things like this to happen, and this is the first, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last. But that's just ridiculous. And another part of that story that I didn't see was a Republican Utah senator that has since taken down his post on TikTok, making light of the situation. Like, you got to be kidding me. It's just ridiculous to me what is happening in this country now.
You're muted, Will. There we go.
Keach, I'm with you 110% on that. And the thing that I'd like for our listeners and watchers to kind of understand, as law enforcement, we've had a lot of changes in the expectations on how we do our work. And there is not a group of individuals that has more interaction with the public, particularly in crisis situations, than us. So we understand largely and embrace the fact that the solution can't automatically be enforcement. It can't automatically be forced. We have to develop a much more expanded bag of tools when it comes to interacting with the public. And the real confusing thing for me is the public can understand and expect us to de-escalate, to find other ways to address situations, but yet and still we've got leaders and people who support these leaders who feel like that if it's something they don't like, I can just use violence and resolve it. Derek, what you got, man?
Yeah, this is something that I've said on here in the past, and this is primarily for the listening public and not for those of us that are on here. And it may not even change things en masse, but it can help here and there. If someone comes to your door, someone being the police, and you did not call them, don't answer your door. Go to the window. Go to the window. And obviously, if someone's impersonating a police officer and they're going to shoot at you, they can shoot you through a window. But if you're standing there with an open door, as was the case with this lady who got killed along with her husband, they have free reign to just do whatever in your house. At least if someone's going to do something to you through a window, you can duck out of the way more easily. They don't have access to enter in your house. But yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to open the door for police unless you have called them and are expecting them. And the same thing with opening the door for most strangers. Go to the window and ask, what can I do for it? Or if you have a Ring doorbell, talk to them through the doorbell. And you don't have to present yourself at all. You're out of harm's way. But we live in a dangerous country. And whether it's dangerous because we have a president that is trying to divide us, or whether it's police that are looking to violate people's rights, or just crazy people coming to your door, which happens as well. We need to do things to protect ourselves. And you know, I wish, obviously it's too late, but I wish these lawmakers that got shot and the husband that got shot as well had just, you know, kind of done it a little bit differently. And not blaming them, because obviously going to your window when the doorbell rings isn't the norm. But, you know, if it's someone you're not expecting, maybe it should become them. And that's all I have.
You make excellent points with that. I'm trying to put myself in the position of being a lawmaker in that situation, and why I would feel just unilaterally comfortable with someone presenting as a law enforcement officer. These lawmakers already know that there's a risk for the position that they're in. So it would stand to reason that that would be a natural response. And it's shameful because it seems like we keep seeing examples of areas with people or circumstances that we're supposed to be able to trust, that people are taking a look at that and utilizing that to get close to folks. And the issue is now people that were supposed to be trusted can't be trusted anymore, right there on their face. And how does that play with our day-to-day interaction with any other law enforcement? We're not even talking about the fact of whether or not they are upholding our rights in that situation. We're talking about just baseline trust. D, what you got?
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Cheech.
I just wanted to add on to what Derek said. I would take it a step further. Don't even stand behind the door. Stand to the side. That's it.
I just wanted to add a little context to the video, because that was like a video that came out pretty much the first night. And I know there's some details out there, but everybody might not be watching the news. The suspect was apprehended the next day or so in the wooded area by his house. It was a police vehicle, a police-like vehicle that he was in, along with the spotlight. Most people would look at that vehicle and assume it was a police vehicle. These guys are right. We've been talking about this since I got on here. I don't answer my door. I don't answer my door for anybody. I just don't. For the most part, when y'all would come to my door and think I was in another state, I don't. I didn't invite you. I'm not answering because I don't want to get caught. I mean, you know, I don't want to mention any names of people that come to my door, but this is my time. I don't have time to go through a list of things or whatever you want to talk to me about. So that's a good habit, I think. As a law enforcement officer, you don't come to your door. Even when I was on the other side, the law enforcement side, and I was working in sworn, I wouldn't just walk up to anybody's door. That wasn't a practice. We did everything we could. You left a card, you did things, you waited for people to call you, and then you set up an appointment. It was just something that we did. We never call, unless there was exigent circumstances. What that is, Jerry, is that means somebody ran in your house, and I see him running in your house, and I'm not going to wait to get a warrant because he's in there doing whatever he's going to do. I can kick that door in. Short of that, there's so many things you can do. We're smarter than that, than just knocking on people's doors. People won't. People have been impersonating law enforcement since I've been a police officer. I was always aware of that when we drove our, Jerry, our CI cars, which are unmarked cars. I have to talk to you because you always raise your hand and ask. Our unmarked cars, our cars with the lights hidden. You as a police officer have to be aware of that, and the public should understand. We're going to understand if you don't open the door. We're not going to be happy. It's going to cause us to slow down. Don't get me wrong, but I know what's going on out there. I wouldn't answer my door either. So I just want to keep that in mind. The gentleman was caught. The young lady lawmaker. I'm not in the habit of letting anybody's family know, so I'm not going to mention her name because I don't know if somebody's watching that may know her. She did not make it. The other people, I think they're in serious condition. So we have 2 people in serious condition, 2 people that are not here anymore. And the guy is the suspect, innocent until proven guilty, correct? Is arrested. So I just want to give that context of, and the other thing I want to say, he had what's called, I know we listen to these terms and we go, what? A manifesto. Apparently, he had a list of lawmakers. It just so happened that the 2 he got were in close proximity. That the one set of officers was smart enough, let's be honest, to go to the next house, which wasn't that far away, and address him in the doorway. There was gunfire in the doorway. So that's kind of what saved those other lawmakers' lives, because he had a list. By the time, if he had succeeded in what he was doing, by the time they realized what he was doing, a lot more people would have gotten hurt. So I just wanted to give that context, because I know it developed as the week went, and the video I picked just wanted to give the basic information. So that's it for me.
It's a lot of moving parts, because I'd imagine a lot of us are probably asking the question, why would anybody do that? And D, you mentioned it about the manifesto that he had in the back of the car. Basically, he had those pieces of paper that said no King's Day. Well, we all know that there was the parade on Saturday, and there were multiple peaceful protests that took place across the country, indicating that, this is not a country that wants to hold up and encourage someone being king, because that's what that whole fiasco was in DC on Saturday. Cheech.
I had a quick question for D. Do we have video of his arrest or any information on how he was arrested? I'm just curious, because here's a person who already had killed 2 people, shot a total of 4, had a shootout with police, and he managed to be arrested. I'm just curious.
Okay.
You got your hand up real quick?
Yeah, I do. But if, Mark, you got the details, because I'll let you give the details, because you haven't.
Yeah. I don't know if you had a video or not. I was watching television where apparently the lady who lived in that area saw somebody crouching down in the bushes. So she got alerted. At first, she thought it was SWAT or somebody, but then something, the hairs went up on the back, and she got a little nervous. So she ended up calling the police, and they responded accordingly, and they got her, just to make the story a little shorter. But it was a neighbor who saw the guy crouched down in the bushes. So, and the police officer said if he had not popped up, they wouldn't have even gotten him. But apparently, I don't know if he was tired or just trying to give himself up, but it was a neighbor.
Jim, before I get to you, I'm sorry.
He popped up, sudden movement?
Yeah.
Sudden movement in front of the police. I'm just saying.
Jim, before we're going to tie up the previous video a bit with a bow, as we got another comment from Mr. Bowden. He says, Jim, you're 100% correct about the posse comitatus. Jim, I'm going to let you pronounce that. My hook on phonics ain't working so good today. The president will use the Insurrection Act to get around it. That's an interesting choice of words, get around it. At some point, the Supreme Court has to decide which act is better. Totally agree. And one of our own is commenting, Kyle. She said they had no reason to believe someone dressed like the police would harm them. If anything, they may have thought the person was bringing them news, or that something happened and the person police was canvassing. And police knock on doors in my neighborhood. How else are they getting the homeowner's attention? Someone remind me, do you know what time of day this happened? Because it was in the wee hours of the morning, wasn't it?
Sure. I've never known that. 3, is that 3 a.m., Jim?
Yeah, something around 3 a.m. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, go ahead with your thought, Jim.
Yeah, that's Pasikamatitis is the.
Thank you.
God bless
But what I wanted to say is something that Tyrone has been saying since Trump has entered the Washington, and that's he is absolutely foaming at the mouth to be able to get martial law declared. And he keeps doing it. Think about this. And I know I've said it on another show. Once a president can declare martial law, you have a king. You really do have a king, because martial law throws the three branches of government out, and the president controls all law enforcement from the village police all the way up to the FBI and everything in between. And he is the law. So God help us if he ever pulls that off.
Seems like he's already doing some test marketing with that strategy, with some of the things that are going on. Mark, what's your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, so another thing to go along with what Jim's saying. I heard on the news today he was talking about Netanyahu, and he had called him a wartime president. And that scared me, because that's all this guy wants to do. He wants to put that on his resume. So he's itching to get involved in this Israel-Iran war. He's itching, and the first chance he can't even say, no, we're not going to get involved. He's got to be vague about it. Oh, we'll see. We'll figure it out. He just, his ego just doesn't let him say, no, we're not going to get involved. We're going to support Israel, but we're not going to get involved. Any other president would have said that. This guy just has to kind of beat around the bush. Well, let me see. Let me look and do it. I may not. I'll figure it out at the last minute, was one of his quotes. Is that scary or what?
That's typical, is what that is. Cheech, keep us rolling.
Yeah, and I was going to say, when they declare martial law, that's when it's going to affect the general public. And then they're going to realize how it's affecting everybody and not just certain people. So it's yeah, I'm with Jim. This is very, very scary.
A little bit of, for our listeners out there, and pass it along to whomever you talk with. I think a lot of us can associate being in a traffic stop and not necessarily being able to identify a vehicle. Like Dee was saying, sometimes you have these undercover vehicles that might have lights but might not have all the markings. One of the strategies or the techniques that have been encouraged folks to do is to get on their phone and call 911 to make sure communications knows. You can utilize the same strategy with someone knocking at your door and they're representing themselves as law enforcement. You call now, before you ever go to the door, you call 911 and say, I've got police at my house. Can you tell me any reason why they would be here? And that should help you get some better understanding as to why they should be there, or if they're not supposed to be there, can 911 send some legit folks there to inquire on your behalf?
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but in times of war, we can't have elections and the president we can't switch presidents, right?
Right.
That's correct. That's correct. AC, you shaking your head. What's on your mind?
If habeas corpus is done, you can't do it.
Exactly.
You can be in a war and have a change of government.
Exactly, but if habeas corpus is invoked, then the sitting president is not removed until it's released.
And didn't this same president try to ridicule the Ukraine president Zelensky on the same basis? Didn't he just try to ridicule him about that earlier?
Yeah,
when he was saying that he didn't want to have lawful elections?
Yes, the minute he said last time, get me elected, won't need to vote anymore, I know exactly which direction he was talking about. Martial law and getting it going. I've been saying it ever since. Thank you, Jim. You remember that, right?
Anyone else have any thoughts or comments on this? All right. D, we rolling right along. Number 3.
Number 3. I just want to set this up by saying you keep messing with people where it doesn't make sense. People are going to rise up and have a problem. Here we have 2 National Guard members. They're accompanying their mother. She got called into the immigration. She got called in for an immigration appointment. And they got dressed up in uniform and went with her. Now, just let that sit with you for a minute. Let's take a look.
These 2 brothers, members of the National Guard, accompanied their mother after she received a text message to report to this ICE check-in facility in the South Loop. Their mother has a work permit, has lived in the area for more than 20 years.
Well, the main reason we came here is for our mother. We fear that she might get taken into custody. There's been reports of that. They get a text or an appointment. They have to come in, and they end up getting detained.
At the same facility, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy and Jonathan Jackson show up unannounced for an oversight review. The office is run by an ICE subcontractor.
To get people to come in only to be snatched away is wrong.
People have a right to habeas corpus. We're asking for the law to be enforced. We're not asking for Mr. Trump to do this whimsically.
They were finally able to get inside, and later Krishnamurthy, who is a Democratic candidate for the U.S. Senate, posted on Facebook this exchange with those in charge.
You're an officer with ICE? You have a badge, you have an ID, can you see it?
I don't have to show that to you.
You don't have to show
I'm telling you to leave. I've already identified myself. I'm an officer
Can you
with
show me a
ICE.
badge or an ID?
You're not allowed to be here. Police are coming.
Quickly, 2 Chicago police officers did arrive, and about a half hour later, the congressman and the officers all walked out.
This is federally paid property. We should be able to conduct oversight here. My constituents have been summoned here through these scammy text messages.
The congressman spoke to the 2 brothers waiting for their mother, and some 3 hours after she arrived for her appointment, she and her sons left without any incident.
Political Gage, hit him with it.
Yeah, like I previously stated, this has been hitting our community, the Latino community, very hard. And people don't know what to do now because you're doing everything by the law. You're going to your required appointments, your check-ins, okay? And then you're showing up, and all of a sudden they're saying, we're not renewing your status, and they take you out. With your family's still sitting out in the waiting room. You never get to see them again. That's happened a couple of times already. Now what's happening, and we're getting phone calls like this because I'm part of the Hispanic League, so a lot of the community reaches out to us, and they're afraid to go to their appointments. But what happens if you miss your appointment? Now, automatically, you lose your status, and now you have an order of deportation. So it's a catch-22. They don't know what to do, you know, and it's just ridiculous what is going on in our community. They're trying to do everything by the law, like I said, and that's not working out anymore.
And you're absolutely right, Cheech. What I think a lot of people either don't understand or are too ingrained in their own mindset is that because they are not U.S. citizens doesn't automatically mean that they are not here lawfully. And what was supposedly said during the presidential campaigning by the sitting president, as far as his promise, is that he will go after individuals who were criminals, individuals who were blatantly in violation of our immigration laws. That's not what this is. And all you got to do is listen to what he's saying about trying to reach a certain quota that is going to be the most that ever been deported in history. He wants that distinction. And it appears that he'll do whatever he can to get to it. D, what you got?
I just wanted to say quickly, I want everybody to understand, and even people that are embroiled in this, what I call a new movement, you got to understand those two paramilitary guys went with their mother to make sure she was treated fairly. There's a lot of military guys that I know that are going to make sure things are done right. I understand the people at the top that are making these incapable, ill-informed decisions think they can make the decisions, but we're a country about the people. And there's enough people that know their job and enough people that are going to get tired. We've been here before. Some of us in the room more than others. We've been here before. This ain't nothing new. I know everybody's clutching the pearls. I done buried my pearls years ago. Clutch the pearls. What's going on? Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's been here before. And I just caution those that want things to go back to a time when obviously it couldn't last because it didn't last. What you're at some point, you're going to be like these two guys. I want to go back to the video, going there with their mother. What were you going to do if you want to do your foolishness with two National Guards in there, and two National Guards? And I'm a mama's boy. I ain't afraid to say that's probably going to be the hashtag for this video. I'm a mama's boy. I wish you would. I wish you would. This is what's going to happen. You're going to get people to the point where they're tired of your foolishness, and then you're going to have a bigger issue than you bargained for. This could have been a big. You better have let that woman out. You better have let that woman out, because we all might be packing. Anyway, I'm done. Go ahead. Let me stop. Stop right there.
Mark.
Yo, let me just write this down. These are mama's boy. Okay, I got it.
That's right. I don't believe it.
No, an unfortunate byproduct of this is a lot of criminals will now target Latinos and other immigrant groups because they know they're afraid to call the police. So you'll see an uptick typically with crimes against them. It could even be extortion, hey, give me money or I'm going to call the police and have them come by. And it's a shame. It's such a horrific thing that Trump is bringing on to this country, the way he's going about stuff. It's just, I feel so bad for a lot of these people. And, a lot of people are saying, okay, we could take them getting rid of the criminals, but now they're going after anybody and everybody. They're going up to high school graduations. They're going up to this. They'll be going up to weddings soon. When's it going to stop? That's it.
Mark, real quick, the point that you just made takes us back to eroding at the trust. And this is something that I'd like for our audience to understand. All of these federal officials that seem to be doing this, one of the reasons why the face covering and the mask is a problem is because with the acts that they are doing, overwhelmingly people will associate them with law enforcement as opposed to military. And here we are out here doing the job that we do, or in this case, the job that we did, and leaving a lot of our brothers and sisters still on the line. And they've got to deal with that perception. Meanwhile, these military folks who are acting on orders can just fade into the shadows and nobody knows who they are. And we got to deal with the distrust. I remember when we first started getting a lot of the Hispanic community, and before there were a lot of infrastructure things, particularly financial, it was always rumored that they keep a whole lot of cash on them. And people were actually targeting them because oftentimes they know when it was Friday, it was payday because they'd be done working and they have a wad of cash on them and they get hit. And without consequence, because a lot of times they'd be scared to call the police.
Yep.
Cheech.
Yeah, I want 2 points. One, to Mark, what you said. Yes, a lot of what's happening also is with contractors. Contractors are picking up these workers, taking them to work all week, and then not paying them and saying, what are you going to do? You call the police, I'm going to call ICE. So they're taking advantage of them big time right now, getting free labor out of them because they know they can't do anything. That was my first point. Second, Will, earlier you said quota. Yes, and America doesn't understand this. So the president said we have 1 million murderers, rapists, robbers in the country. BS, right? You got rid of all the criminals now. Now you got to show this quota of 1 million people that you said you were going to deport that are causing all the chaos here in the country, which is not true. So now you're going after hardworking people, people that have been doing everything legally, people that have never gotten arrested, never gotten in trouble, but you arrest them and it's just a number. And now you tell the public, hey, we arrested 400 today. Hey, we arrested 300 today. All right. And everybody listens to what he says, right? He just says 400 more criminals off the street. Not a single one of them probably a criminal or ever did anything wrong, you know? And some of these maggots understand that. Those that don't automatically, yeah, we're getting rid of them. But the ones that don't, they justify it by saying, well, they're here illegally. That's a crime. Again, not a crime, civil matter. But they look at it as, well, it's their fault. They shouldn't have been in the country in the first place. Okay, but they're here and they're trying to do everything legally, and you're still screwing them over. That's all I got to say.
Sure. Derek, what's on your mind?
Yeah, as far as the military guys that accompanied their mom to the immigration office, I think coming from the top somewhere, be it the president to Hegseth or Hegseth himself or some general, I think they're going to probably end up putting a stop to that. And obviously, you can't just wear your uniform when you're off duty representing yourself. It'll pose a problem. So I think that's something that's going to stop. Obviously, it was effective for those two guys, and God bless them. I'm glad it worked. And hopefully, if it works for a few more people, so be it. But I think in the long run, it's not going to be effective because the upper echelon of the military will put a stop to it.
It's interesting that you say that. I was thinking a little bit earlier when I first saw it, it wouldn't surprise me if they tried to actually reprimand them
for
that. And it's sad when people have the compassion, whether it be for a loved one or just someone that they say that is being done wrong, and they're not trying to be offensive. They are trying to orchestrate getting the right thing done. And every time you make a turn in the right direction, somebody wants to put up another roadblock, because that's effectively what's going on here.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or comments? My goodness, D, are we about to? This is going to be number 4 in, isn't it?
Trouble. Let's.
You might have to go in the bag before it's all said and done.
Oh, no, I'm all right. I'm all right. Listen, let's go.
You got 25.
A few months. You ain't supposed to let them know how about our messages there, CJ. Let's go about a 30 or so miles north of New York City, a little place called Sullivan County. Let's take a look.
Political attack or corruption? That's the question that Sullivan County voters are asking tonight, days before the Republican primary and after the release of an edited video alleging cover-ups and misconduct among longtime top brass at the sheriff's office. Our Blaise Gomez has the story.
An alleged love triangle.
Hi, how are you?
Is at the center of the video that allegedly shows former Sullivan County Sheriff's Deputy Michelle Resnick on camera blowing kisses to an inmate and in an embrace with Undersheriff Eric Shabody. It accuses Resnick of having inappropriate relationships with both men, while Shabody is claimed to have covered it up by allegedly allowing Resnick to resign without any consequences. Shabody says none of that is true and that Resnick is a longtime friend who resigned before she dated the inmate.
The video is completely false. It's pieced together several historical segments from the sheriff's office and then offered its own narrative.
The video was originally shared on Facebook by an anonymous person who we haven't been able to track down.
I think the public deserves better.
Since then, this former sheriff's lieutenant has come forward with his own allegations.
This is all crimes. This, at the very least, this is official misconduct.
Paul Slavic says he gave the FBI proof about doctored accident reports before he left the department and claims there's an ongoing federal investigation into his former bosses. We haven't been able to confirm that. The video and allegations come just days before a Republican primary between longtime Sheriff Mike Schiff and retired state police investigator Tim Diamond. Schiff says it's an orchestrated political attack.
The purpose was to muddy us up to get someone elected for sheriff.
His opponent says he had nothing to do with the video.
I'm calling on someone to be in charge. There is no one doing their job right now with this.
Shabodi, however, says any claims that Resnick behaved improperly in a jail closet while supervising the inmate when he was on cleaning duty were investigated and determined to be unfounded. He says other video of them hugging shows him consoling Resnick after she resigned when she was upset and came in to file a police report.
Video was altered to make it look like I'd been captured alone with her and we're having some sort of romantic encounter, which is not what happened.
The undersheriff and sheriff agreed to speak with News 12 on Tuesday after Schiff was interviewed by a Sullivan radio station, but Shabodi made it clear that he isn't happy with our questions.
He was there being interviewed as a candidate, and they threw that in at the last minute. But anyway, regardless, if this is the way it's going to go, I'm sure other people will generate fake videos, and then people will have to be, public figures like yourself would have to be called to answer.
As for residents, they now have to weigh both sides before voting for Schiff or Diamond next week. Blaise Gomez, News 12.
Jeez.
First, I wanted to thank Mama's Boy for bringing up our fourth video. Thank you. So I wanted to say this is the reason we need federal oversight, because there's some things that a department should not be policing themselves. That's why you need federal oversight, because we're all friends in the department. Some have family in the department. You know, you build relationships inside your department. And then there's just some scenarios, unfortunately, some can be handled in-house, but there are others that you need federal oversight. That's it for me.
Your thoughts?
Just one thing I wanted to say.
You're welcome.
Oh, is it me? I'm sorry. Am I okay? I didn't hear. I thought we got something going on there with CJ. I'm gonna get you, CJ. Watch. I want to say when you're in law enforcement, any level, especially Will, you probably know, Jim, you probably know, Derek, all of y'all know, when you're a supervisor, you have to avoid any appearance of impropriety. I understand friendships. We just talked about friendships. I was so hypersensitive when I was working. You just gonna have to cry. You just gonna have to cry today. Cause this is gonna get misconstrued, and I'm gonna be the bad guy. And you have that hardened mentality because you know you have to avoid any appearance. And we all know somebody could see somebody who saw somebody who could tell somebody who could call somebody else.
And it was nobody.
And they can make a complaint, and you sitting there going, what? Wait, what? I wasn't even at work that day. But just for all the working officers out there, if you're watching us, you have to avoid it. I know you seem like an idiot, a hard guy. Nobody likes you. You got no feelings. But at the end of the day, because of your position, it's going to compromise what you have to do. Sometimes you're going to have to discipline people who you like. I disciplined a lot of people. I like them. I like that guy. I really like him, but you got to go. You know, I like you, but you got to go. You can't work here. So you have to avoid any appearance of impropriety. And that's all. That's the part I wanted to say.
So the mama's boy with a hard edge to him. I ain't mad at you.
She knows. She knows.
Absolutely. Ty, what's on your mind?
It's called optics. Optics matter. People are looking at things and not seeing what they think they see. They see what they want to believe it to be. A lot of times, they see something and it looks like one thing is or.
And now to a shocking story that you'll only.
Is that his Wi-Fi?
I think Ty got interrupted without any formal hands up and nobody waving. I kind of want to break down the video a little bit. When they showed those three pictures, they showed the inmate in inmate orange, and he was on the inmate phone as if there was someone directly across from him. When they showed the young lady, she looked like she was on FaceTime or whatever, and she blew a kiss to somebody. Okay, that math ain't mathing, because they specifically talked about her blowing the kiss at the inmate. Explain to me how she FaceTiming, blowing a kiss at the inmate when he's actually at the phone station for the visitor. So that math isn't mathing. That's the first problem that I have. The other problem is, if she's embracing this undersheriff, if you'll notice the way those benches are set up, doesn't that look like it's in the jail area?
That's an interrogation.
Right. Why would she be resigning and in the jail area at that time? So again, I'm not making any assertions or assumptions, but there's certain things about the way they're categorized in the videos that the math ain't mathing on that. And the fact that there's an election cycle going on, sometimes you get a scandal thrown up to try to hedge your bets. I'm not making any assumptions, but the timing and the stuff ain't matching up. That's questionable for me. Jim, what you got on your mind?
Will, you just said what I was going to say. It's politics. Once you decide you're going to run for office, and now with AI out there, you can almost be guaranteed some video or some pic is going to show up of you doing something that you're going to be scratching your head. When did I do that? So politics has become, besides dangerous, pretty dirty game.
Either that or you're going to do the Marion Barry and say, damn, that bitch set me up. Oh, me. Let's see. We got some comments to cover. And Karen Coffey, all those who thought the 2015 candidate, this may not necessarily be related, but of course we try to catch all the comments. All those who thought the 2015 candidate is different from the 2023 candidate is truly clueless. We knew what was coming. Unfortunately, some leaders made a wrong bet and lost all three branches. The face of the movement is not necessarily the brains of the movement today. Sadly, we have to wait much longer because of the amateur show in charge. Ms. Coffey, I see your point. And one of our own, Kyle, says, didn't they sit through sexual harassment, inappropriate touching videos? Back to what you said, D, any suggestion of impropriety, we have to protect against that. So any other comments on that one?
Yeah, I want to say it was last week, it may have been the week before, another NYPD captain was making unwanted sexual advances towards a young lady. I think she may have been a detective. And whenever she would rebuff his advances, he would do something to punish her. So he was flat out making this lady uncomfortable. He sent her a bunch of flesh pics of his lower parts. It baffles me that, especially now, I mean, obviously you have to be an idiot to do these things in the first place. But after what's happened with the chief of the department and the lieutenant that he was dealing with, as well as the other two ladies that he was in the news for in the past and the other one that he was dealing with currently, with all of that, that's coming to light recently, why the heck could someone, or how the heck could someone still do this stuff today? And this was happening 2 weeks ago, and the captain got fired. He got fired. So good that he did. You know, just another thing that puzzles the heck out of me, and this has nothing to do with management versus subordinates. It's just opposite sexes or even same sexes. If you're attracted to someone and they don't feel the same way, why the hell should they be punished because they're not attracted to you in the same way you're attracted to them? It makes no freaking sense to me. You like them, they don't like you, they deserve to be punished. It's stupid, but that's all I have.
Yes, there's some folks out there that can't imagine somebody not liking them.
I was sitting there thinking, you guys talking about Trump or what?
There's some things that just happen and you ain't even got to call no names. The image pops right in your head. And so I'm glad I'm not Melania. That's all I can say.
And the shit about it, you can't make this shit up.
Come on with it, JT. I know it's been swirling around in their head of yours. You got a little bit more than that.
Running in one ear, out the other. But I'm retired.
Yes, sir. It's a great feeling. Anybody else? D, hit us with the next one.
So let's do a quick video. This is we're going to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It was a Fort Lauderdale detective that was fired after an internal probe. All the good that he did was undone by a few misdeeds. Let's take a look.
On Local 10 News, a Fort Lauderdale police detective has been fired after an internal affairs investigation. And Local 10 News has learned this isn't just any officer. Here's investigator Jeff Weinseer with the exclusive details.
Got your turkey and so in 2023, Detective Henry Lockwood actually helped lead a turkey giveaway for families in need.
When you have 1,200 families that you feed, but yet you still have another maybe 100 or 200 that could use a meal.
Officer Lockwood was a public face of the Fort Lauderdale Police Department. In 2024, the Sun Sentinel caught him doing push-ups, engaging with spring breakers on the beach during a recruiting push.
Henry Lockwood and Eric Perez are Fort Lauderdale police detectives.
He appeared on Fox News during spring break promoting the police department.
We want them to be safe, but we also, we let them know the opportunities that we do have available within the police department.
Lockwood even mentored students at Dillard High through the Youth Behind the Shield program. As a training and recruiting officer, he was a role model, but behind the scenes, Lockwood was under internal affairs investigation. Local 10 News has learned he's now been fired. According to documents obtained by Local 10 News, Lockwood gave conflicting statements about a GPS tracker found on his ex-girlfriend's car. He initially said he didn't put it there, then told a supervisor he did. Later, he claimed someone else may have done it. This GPS tracker was found on her car while it was in for service. Surveillance video caught Lockwood on duty in plain clothes entering a staff-only area and taking the device out of the service area. Investigators also found Lockwood accessed a restricted police database at least 26 times for personal reasons. He looked up his ex-girlfriend, her brother, her friends, even a woman he used to date. Misusing this database can be a felony. Records also show Lockwood used his city-issued police vehicle to drive his ex-girlfriend's brother to the gym, shopping, hanging out in Hollywood, all while off duty. License plate readers confirmed his movements. Lockwood didn't respond to a text message, wasn't home when we stopped by on several occasions. We asked police union FOP Lodge 31 about Lockwood's firing. They told us, quote, the union is appealing the decision and supports Lockwood's right to have the case reviewed by an independent arbitrator. We are told this case is under review by prosecutors in the Broward State Attorney's Public Corruption Unit. But at this point, no charges have been filed. In Fort Lauderdale, Jeff Weinseer, Local 10 News.
Right, Jeff, thank you. Now
How many years did they say he's been on the force, or did this? I know he's not a rookie. I know he ain't just getting.
Yeah. I didn't catch it. Anybody else, or did they mention it?
They didn't say.
Did they say?
He was a detective, so you presume he's got to have some.
I don't presume anything, but okay.
Well, usually you don't walk in the door in that position.
Okay.
But now, here's the thing: the union or the police association, I guess, imagine that they have this information. I don't know about you all, but I don't see any questions here. But we get ready to go into the hands. AC, what you got?
Yeah, I got a light question before you start into this serious part. Vehicles. People, I've never taken a police vehicle home in terms of being assigned one. When you are assigned a police vehicle, are you not supposed to use that other than to and from work?
That's correct.
One would think.
Okay.
That depends.
Mark. Now, Mark
you're muted.
You're muted.
You're
muted. You're muted, Mark.
Sorry.
Wait a minute.
You're muted, Mark.
You muted yourself again.
You're still muted.
What if you're on standby?
Telling you something, Mark. Never mind. Go next. No.
You're on call.
Is it the Wi-Fi?
Do this, Mark. Sign language. Give it to us.
Jim, you take a vehicle.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
There he goes. There he goes.
Yeah.
Different states will have different rules for their take-home vehicles. And also what rank you are will determine what you can do with that vehicle.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Jump in there and add not only different states, but different departments within those states. It's all over the map, like Mark said.
But do any of them? Oh, you don't know. Never mind. Say that you can take me around. I'm not on the force. You don't.
And even that, if some departments actually, that car becomes their personal car once they're off duty. They could go shopping.
Okay.
So,
like we mentioned in the previous one, the optics are bad though.
Oh yeah. It's most of our. Well, I shouldn't say that because I think the state park police take their actual park police car home, but most of them in New York are unmarked. So at least that's not too bad. But you're right, Will. Taking a marked police car home and then use it as your family car with car seats and toys and stuff is a pretty bad look.
Well, once again, it depends on the state because I know down in Maryland, for instance, guys can take the cars home. They can use them back and forth. They can go shopping. They can go here, there. They can even work in uniform with the radio at one location, and other places like banks will pay them an additional amount to park their police vehicle in their parking lot. So it looks like double duty, and it's allowed.
So Mark, deputy chiefs are allowed to take their boyfriends out in the vehicle? I'm just asking.
Jim's waving his hand before we go down this rabbit hole. So we can get to the hands raised. Come on, Jim.
You ever see college football games? These college coaches, I think they rate each other by how many cops they can have surrounding them after a game. Now, all those cops are in uniform. None of them are from that state. None of them are on duty. But in many states, cops could work security in their full police uniforms. We're not used to that in New York, of course, but in many states, it's just fine.
Ohio is one.
I think there's a rule. Wife sit in the front seat, exes sit in the back.
Okay, all right. Derek.
No.
Derek.
Side chick sticks in the back.
I mean, I don't.
Not ex. Side chick in the back.
Okay, you can get back to the video. I'm sorry.
Come on, Derek.
All right. Yeah, JT, is that at the same time? Will the wife be in the front and the other lady in the back seat at the same time?
That depends on the call.
Oh, if you got a cage.
I was gonna say, if you got that going on, you're a bad man.
Very bad.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, even if you're allowed to use the vehicle, obviously you're not allowed to track your ex-girlfriend or ex-girlfriends, and you're not allowed to just run people's family members. For some reason, I just feel like this guy was too stupid to remain a police officer. He kind of did everything that you could to get yourself fired, and it worked. So I guess I could say I'm happy for him. Congratulations. What you did worked. That's it.
It seems like with all of the positive work he was doing in the community, I can envision maybe he thought he had like the get out of jail free card, so to speak. It's like, with my popularity and the good name that I'm bringing to the department, I can take liberties with my position to do things, and it'll be all right. Well,
it probably was a couple of times.
Yeah.
It probably was a couple of times.
Yep. Yeah. B, what's up?
I just want to say two quick things. First of all, this is how you can undo so many good things you do in your career in one move. Just you could do 90 million things. You can hang off bridges. You could have took a round, took a bullet. I know guys that have done all kind of crazy things. You went, that's a great guy. And one stupid thing, this is really a stupid thing that you would do, totally unnecessary. And we talk about some things are necessary, some things that don't. And I don't want to give you the idea that we judge things on that scale. But when I look at things, I try to weigh why you would do that. Totally unnecessary these days, right? These days, you don't. I used to put those with a warrant, GPSs on bad guys' cars. I used to put them on and take them off. You need a warrant. You need paperwork. You do a report. There's so many different things you already know you have to do. Nowadays, you got a little coin.
Little tag.
Little tag you could, totally unnecessary, like totally unnecessary to be doing that. And the second thing I wanted to say about the take-home cars. So I know some of you guys are in southern states and southern jurisdictions, and I teach some other southern jurisdictions in Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. And so you understand why an off-duty officer might have a car. In some places, they only have one or two officers, maybe three. Chief is one, and then he's got two guys at work. These guys are working 24 hours a day. So when they're quote unquote off duty, they're on duty. They have a radio, a gun, and a car, and they have to respond. They might get help from the next city over or the next village over temporarily, but they have to respond. So that's why they're going to be in that car with their family members and 24 hours a day, because it's their jurisdiction. They have to respond. It's only three of them. One guy has off, the other two of us are working 12 and 12. That's how it works, and one guy's the chief. Sometimes you got, I'm sorry, Mark. Sometimes you got the chief making left turns, doing stop signs. He's got no choice. He's only got himself. So now Mark's up. He's mad at me. So just so we have an understanding, when in those jurisdictions they park the car near the corner and all of that stuff, because they only have a couple of guys, and I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. If I could just say one more thing right quick. Also, NYPD actually has people at work off duty in uniform. And it's called, oh gosh, there's actually a name for it, but different companies, I know the BJs in Brooklyn, they hire cops that are off duty to come work there in uniform. And, you get paid, I don't know, like $50-something an hour to go stand in a BJ's. I think the movie theater in East New York, they pay it, but there's a number of places that actually pay. And, obviously you have to get it approved through when you put yourself on a list and the department send out like an email list of places that need help, and you look through the days and times that you're available, and then you volunteer to work it. But you're there in uniform, and you're actually getting paid a little less than your hourly rate that you would normally get working, but you are still subject to the same discipline if you get into any trouble. So it's something I would never do when I was on the job, because I'm like, I'm not getting written up when I'm off duty. You know what I mean? So when I'm on duty, I'm on duty. I'm not gonna go somewhere and put myself at risk and possibly put my pension at risk. But you know, if you get written up, it's the same write-up you would get if you were on duty. So you could get in the same trouble and you could potentially lose your job. But plenty of people do it. Plenty of people do it.
So we got a couple of comments as we get ready to draw to a close. Renee Henderson, she asked, paid detail, off-duty and uniform in North Carolina. What happens is it used to be officers through their relationship with the public or whatnot, a club, a restaurant, or some other business establishment, and they say, hey, listen, I've got stuff going on at particular times and I'd like to hire off-duty officers. And the officer could go down there and present to the chain of command and whether or not they're going to approve allowing officers to work off duty there. And of course, that came with its own issues. But ultimately, a lot of departments are going towards a standardized sign-up system to, one, know when people are where, and two, to make sure that there's not a handful of people that are getting the lion's share of the off-duty. But when you've got additional officers that are in town that aren't working patrol and they are working an off-duty function, particularly at a spot that otherwise the folks might call the on-duty officers, it's a benefit on both sides of that, because the presence of the officer there off duty hopefully will keep situations from brewing up and take some of the pressure off patrol officers that otherwise would have to respond without that off-duty officer. Y'all, we have gotten through all of the 5 videos that D, I'm not sure. Okay, here we go. There we go. We have gotten through all the 5 that we had originally planned. D had more in his pocket just in case.
20.
But we have gotten through all 5. We are at 424. D, take us out on a high note, man.
Oh yeah. I normally I look at videos and I see some that are funny, true but funny. But let's take a look at this one. This made me laugh.
I am starting to regret my vote for Trump. I know, you guys, I know. I was like you, it'll be fun, it'll be funny. Burn it down. Burn the Constitution down. Oh, yeah. There's a Twitter thing, Twitter site, whatever. Whatever you call it, Twitter feed, right? Yeah, Twitter feed. I don't know. I'm not good at Twitter. I'm not. And I mean, I know enough. I know how to write something that will ruin my career. That I've got down. I know how to respond to people who say something negative about that post and make things even worse. I got that part down. But I don't know the fun. I truly don't know how they do the fun, the photo funnies bullshit, where they take photos and they put the memes and stuff. I don't know how that's done. I'm sure I'd like it more if I knew how to do that, where there's like the picture of the ladies walking and the guys going, hello, and then, the girls going, hey, and then they put the funny words on them, it's like, I'm mustard, I'm a hot dog, I'm ketchup, and like, hilarious shit like that. I'd love to contribute. But anyway, so there's this Twitter thing, Twitter feed that I'm on that's called Trump Regrets or Trump Voter Regrets or something like that. And it's a compendium of whenever somebody writes that in their tweet, it sends it to this thing. And, it's been going on. They've compiled thousands and thousands of them. There's somebody posted a couple days ago, Dear President Trump, I'm starting to regret my vote. What? Now? Now you're starting to regret. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I was fine in the beginning. I can overlook, and I'm okay with the blatant racism and the crass sexism and the deranged narcissism and pandering to Nazis and supporting pedophiles and proudly bragging about being a sexual predator and paying your mistress to have an abortion and openly cheating your employees and mocking the disabled and praising murderous dictators and the constant pathological lying, the petty vindictive cruelty, the staggering ineptitude, the unapologetic corruption, the nepotism, the mob ties, the calculated mendacity, ignorance as to how American government works, encouraging violence against those that question your authority, the theft of our tax dollars to pay off your mountain of debt and or go golfing. Did I mention the relentless lying? You're a liar. Being a white nationalist, demonizing immigrants, the obvious disregard of the Bill of Rights, lying about whether Russia had hacked our election when you knew all along it had, then lying about it, the collusion with our sworn enemy and the sworn enemy of democracy, your dereliction of duty, your treasonous activities, and I was with you when you cheated. I was with you when you cheated on your wife with that porn star, the one you compared favorably to your daughter. You cheated on your wife, not the wife you raped, but the current wife who had just given birth to your son. And of course, I was with you when we found out you cheated with the Playboy Playmate, the one you compared favorably to your daughter, not with the wife you have now, but the second wife whose kid you ignore. And of course, I was with you, President Trump, when you took the babies away. You took infants literally breastfeeding from their mothers and fathers, families who had made this arduous trek to come here and seek asylum. They just wanted to seek asylum. And you took them and you deported the parents, and you took them and separated them, sent the kids hundreds of miles away in a disused Walmart inside of a cage with armed guards pointing guns at them. And then, of course, thus ensuring the private prison contractors CoreCivic and Geo Group, who donated heavily to you, can get paid their collective $4 billion in profit. As those toddlers sob and whimper in absolute terror, traumatized for life, of course I was with you with that. But this last omnibus spending bill is where I draw the line.
You're welcome, Jim.
Covered it all.
Couldn't have said it better.
Right?
Yeah, if you a maggot fan, you ain't happy with that. Folks, it's been wonderful riding with you all today. To our listeners out there, and we like to call them by name, we had Renee Henderson, we had Karen Caffey, our partner in crime with the Roll Call crew. Kyle joined us through the comments. And of course, we had Richard Bowden and some others. As I'm trying to scroll up, it won't take me but so far. Marcus Diggs kicked in. I said, what's so funny? Seriously? He came in right at the end. Marcus, we'll pick this up some other time.
No.
But for those out there listening, we do not take lightly the fact that you took time out your day to join us in our discussions. We hope that there's something that was discussed that, if nothing else, entertains your day, but hopefully in some way, shape, form, or fashion helps you. Try to have open minds about things. AC, you had a point?
I know. If you want to close out, I don't want to volunteer Cheryl, but she's ready to pray.
You with me?
Okay. All right.
But JT's waving a finger before that.
Okay, JT, what you got?
Yeah, Mr. Quick, I want to give you a congratulations for such a great job you did. If you
I
had
appreciate
fucked
it.
up,
Man. Y'all make it easy.
If you had fucked up, I'd have told you. Great job, really, serious.
And I received that too.
Yeah.
Sure, you want to carry us out?
You know, y'all, I'm gonna. I want to say yes, I will, but I just learned my cousin passed away while we were here on the set.
No.
Yeah, so however, I still trust and believe God for everything. So, Father, as we come before you now, God, thanking you for yet another day that we'll see no more. Father, we thank you for allowing all of us to come together, even those that are listening and join us weekly. Father, as we all leave this place, but not your space, we pray, God, that you'll continue to cover us and protect us, lead us and guide us, and we'll forever give your name the praise, the glory, and the honor. Amen.
Amen.
Condolences,
May leave
Cheryl.
this space, but not your place. May leave this place, but not your space. I love that.
Condolences, Cheryl.
Condolences.